Welcome back, everyone, to the Chaplaincy on the Go podcast. I'm your host, Josh Zorhoff, and this podcast is brought to you by my good friends at Care Portal, a technology platform that helps families who are at risk of falling into the foster care system stay out of that system by enabling individuals through local churches and organizations to help give needs to those families. And we're also thankful for the partnership that we have with the Fearless Chaplaincy and the good work that they're doing in the emotional spaces of the workplace. And I'm excited to talk with you today a little bit about family holiday conversations. We're going to be diving into some of the awkwardness of family conversations. I mean, holidays are supposed to feel warm and joyful, but let's be honest, sometimes sitting down to a family dinner feels more like stepping into a minefield. Everyone has history, everyone has expectations, and occasionally everyone has opinions they'd love to share loudly. Maybe you dread certain topics coming up. Maybe you're hoping one relative doesn't bring up politics. Maybe there's unresolved tension in your family, or maybe you're walking into the holidays feeling stretched thin, feeling tired, or emotionally raw, wondering how to make the most of the time around the table. If you've ever felt that way, you are not alone. In fact, many of us feel that way right now in the busy and the hurry of the holidays. And today, we're going to look at how you can create healthy, meaningful conversations at the holiday dinner table using the power of gratitude and a brilliant mental framework from a man named Dan Sullivan in his research and work in something called the gap and the gain. So whether you're hosting a party, whether you're attending an event, or preparing emotionally for what's ahead, this is a great episode for you. Let me talk about why holiday conversations are so hard. Family gatherings bring people together who share DNA or history, but not always the same communication styles, personalities, worldview, healing journeys, or emotional needs. And the holidays amplify everything. Expectations run higher. Emotions run deeper. Stories from the past resurface. Old patterns can get triggered. And there's often very little margin. We're tired, we're busy, and we're pushing right up to the end, completely overwhelmed. Even the most loving families can hit rough patches at the dinner table. But the good news is, healthy conversation isn't an accident. It's a skill we can all practice. And the dinner table can become a place of peace rather than a place of pressure. Now, shifting the atmosphere requires us to practice some intentional gratitude. Let me just start with this simple idea of looking back in gratitude. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it anchors us in the present, and it reminds us that the progress is real, that God is present with us, that we've grown more than we think, and that small wins matter. Gratitude also softens the atmosphere of a room. It changes the tone. It changes posture. It slows us down from being defensive, and it activates our connection with other people. See, at the family dinner table, when we can have gratitude and actually ask gratitude-based questions, it can transform the entire climate of our emotions. Here's a couple of things that maybe you can try when you're at the dinner table. What's one thing you're grateful for from the past year? What's one small moment of joy that you didn't expect? What's something you've learned this year? These kinds of prompts, these shifts in conversation, move us away from judgment and comparison and move it toward reflection and connection, which brings us to Dan Sullivan's amazing framework from The Gap and the Gain, which is a phenomenal book. We'll have it linked here in the podcast show notes as well. Dan Sullivan says that we really live in one of two mental places. The first is the gap. The gap is where we measure ourselves or others against an ideal that is always out of reach. It's future focused and in a negative way. It sounds like we're not where we should be. This year isn't good enough. I failed again. What was I thinking? I should have done better. The gap creates pressure, scarcity, comparison, and ultimately it creates disappointment. And nothing kills a holiday dinner vibe quite like judgment of ourselves or others. The gain, however, is the exact opposite. It's where we measure backwards, not how far am I from perfect, but how far have I come in my life? You see, the gain celebrates growth, resilience, learning, progress, stories, and ultimately it celebrates gratitude. Living in the gain creates emotional safety. It opens the door to empathy and curiosity. It makes room for joy. And you can feel the difference in your body when you are living in the gain. And you can feel the difference in the room when you're living in the gain. Now, I want to talk about how we can bring the gain into our time at the dinner table. Here are a few practical ways to have some gain-based conversations to your family. Instead of asking, did you hit your goals this year? Try something like this. What's one win from this year that you're proud of? Maybe normalize imperfection and say, you are doing the best you can. And you can share something through a learned difficulty or something that you overcame. And I just want to encourage you that vulnerability inspires honesty. Affirm, don't evaluate. Consider replacing why didn't you with what did you learn from that experience. And make sure you honor everyone's unique journey. You know, the truth is, each person at the table this holiday season will be fighting a battle that we might not see. And when you can bring these postures of celebration and normalizing imperfection, affirming what people are growing in and honoring their journey, you can help transform the environment from pressure into being present. Here's a simple holiday ritual that moves around gains and gratitude. You can use this at the dinner table. You can use this around the fireplace. You can use this at dessert. You can use this before or after, or maybe even during the time of opening gifts with those that you love. Try this. Have each person share something like one gain. Hey, here's something I've learned, or something I've overcome, or something I've grown in this year. And one gratitude. Here's a gift or a moment or a person or a joy that I'm thankful for. It's really simple, it's really quick, and it actually can change the entire emotional tone of the room. Here's what's really great. Kids can do it, adults can do it, guests can do it, and you'd be surprised how often it leads into deeper, more meaningful conversations. I want to have 6 guiding principles for healthy conversations around the table or around the holiday gathering. Number 1, lead with curiosity. Ask open-ended questions that invite stories, not debates. Listen without fixing. Presence is often more powerful than advice. Number 3, keep boundaries gentle but firm. If a topic starts to escalate, maybe redirect with a gratitude question. Number 4, include everyone. Look and listen for the quieter voices at the table, especially if there are young children. They have so much to contribute. Number 5, keep the tone honest, but keep it light and keep it kind. This is such an important grid to run through as you consider the best possible outcome for your conversations. Is it honest? Is it lighthearted? Is it kind? You don't have to force vulnerability. You just have to create space. And if you do this, it can actually create a space of blessing rather than burden. And one final thought, one final guiding principle is consider your posture over your position. You know, the truth is we live in a world that is so consumed with giving its opinion, having its position, proving that we're right, knowing that we know better. And it's so insidious in our media, in our entertainment, in our music, in the news that we watch. And when we sit down at the table with an agenda to prove to other people how right we are, we typically lose relationship. Taking time to say, what's my posture here? Is it one of curiosity? Is it one of compassion? Is it one of kindness? Is it one of gratitude? Am I living in the gain, or am I measuring the success around the table by how far people have to go? It's so important to pay attention to your posture. Listen, the holidays can bring out the best and worst in us because they bring us back to the people who know our stories, and sometimes the people who know our scars. But with intention and with a posture of gratitude, we can turn holiday meals into moments of connection, healing, growth, and even joy. When we choose to live in the gain, not the gap, we give our families one of the greatest gifts, a safe and joyful place to belong. Thanks for joining us today. If this episode's been helpful for you or gave you some ideas for the holiday meals, we'd love for you to share it with a friend or a family member. We also have a worksheet that goes along with this that you can follow on and maybe send to a friend. As always, we just want to say thank you for listening and joining us. That's all we have for you now. We will talk with you later.